I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo,
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
Hi, I'm Cesar Samayoa. Welcome to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hey everyone, welcome to another all-new episode of the Theater Podcast. I'm Alan Seals, and you're about to hear from an actor whose heart and talent have left a mark on Broadway and beyond. In this episode, Cesar Samayoa opens up about the immersive world of Just in Time, the power of ensemble storytelling, and the collaborative magic of working with even director Alex Timbers. He shares what it's like to rehearse new material during the day while performing at night, something we've heard so much about that everybody has to do apparently on Broadway, how a single audience reaction can shift a scene, and the responsibility he feels to care for both his castmates and his audiences. We also dive into Cesar's early days, from a spark lit by Peter Pan to his unexpected detour through Japanese and international relations, all before committing to acting full-time. And he talks candidly about finding the vulnerability in the rehearsal room, embracing imperfection, and just honoring the real people behind the roles he's had to play, like in Come From Away and How to Dance in Ohio. His insights are not just about craft, they're about humanity. And so whether you've seen Cesar on stage or on screen, or this is your first introduction to Cesar, you're in for something special. So make sure to watch the video of this interview on Patreon or on Spotify. And now everybody, please enjoy this episode with Cesar Samayoa.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today's guest has a career spanning Broadway. Full stop. Today's guest has a career spanning Broadway, television, and film, bringing depth, authenticity, and versatility to every role he inhabits. Audiences may know him from his standout roles in Come From Away, Sister Act, The Pee Wee Herman Show, and How to Dance in Ohio, among others. And he's no stranger to the screen, either with appearances and shows like Law & Order SVU, Chicago PD, and The Code. Now he's taking to the stage again in the new Broadway musical Just in Time, a show that transforms the theater into swinging 1960s nightclub era, with direction by Alex Timbers, a cast that includes Jonathan Groff. The show celebrates the music and legacy of Bobby Darin. I can't wait to get into this. While pushing the boundaries of immersive storytelling, Cesar Samayoa, welcome to the Theater Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming out here in this our lovely studio here, powered by Welcome to Times Square, shameless plug. So you are coming to us right now from the midst of rehearsals.
Yes, we are nearing the finish line. We have a couple of more days until opening and freezing the show, but we are going strong.
Is it still changing a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Every single day. You know, this is my fourth collaboration with Alex Timbers, and what I love is this point in the process of our rehearsals, because it's no joke. We try to every day just hone in on an awesome version of the show.
Well, what changes, like, substantially, or is it big moments that you're like, we're cutting whole numbers now? Because if you're just days away from locking, is it adding whole songs? Are you doing that thing where you're rehearsing new scenes during the day?
I mean, we're definitely rehearsing
performing
new material. Yeah, we're definitely rehearsing new material. I wouldn't say huge changes, but we are refining the story and clarifying the story, cutting wherever we need to cut to kind of give it a laser-like focus. It's awesome work right at this moment.
The process of this particular time, I feel like, would be so stressful because you are ultimately like. Again, you're rehearsing new things during the day while performing at night, and then you have to keep, basically, you become your own swing. You have to know what track you're in at any given moment.
It's so true. If you could see us backstage before we go on in these performances right now, kind of reviewing all our changes and stuff, it's very funny because sometimes you're dealing with 2 or 3 word changes in scenes. Those are the tricky ones.
Is it really, like, it's that finite?
Oh, yes. Very much. Very much. It's kind of getting the perfect version of each line and each moment in the show. I mean, you're never going to find perfection, but it's striving for it.
And then the audience, I say this before, that the audience is the final character.
Yeah.
And then now that you're starting to, like, have these performances and real people are coming in, you have to, like, add pauses for laughter or lines you thought would, like they made the crew laugh during rehearsals don't make the audience laugh at all?
Like we call them rehearsal laughs, where you think they're the funniest thing in the world, and then you get to your first preview and it's just crickets out there. And they are like waiting for a laugh that will never come and does not exist.
Yeah, I've been there. That's hard, but it's fun.
Totally.
Because you're like, wait a second, and then do you take it personally? You're like, oh, I thought I delivered that line really funny, and then all of a sudden you're like, ugh.
I mean, your heart hurts a little bit that first time, but you always want to find the best version of it, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a team like we do at Just in Time, it's like they're gonna find it, and that's what we're doing right now. That's why this kind of part of the rehearsal is so exciting, and our audiences over there are just incredible. I mean, from the first moment that theater erupts. So it's really exhilarating. And if you're not getting a laugh, there's a reason.
Talk about who Bobby Darin was.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, when you come to see the show, I think you'll understand how much he gave to the American Songbook. I mean, his music is everywhere. And I think what's so beautiful about this show is that we explore all these different parts of his life that people may not know, that I didn't know. I didn't necessarily know that this man passed away at such a young age.
Yeah, he was like in his late 30s?
37 years old.
As a 44-year-old, that hurts.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But, he was told as a young kid that he wasn't going to make it. And for me, what's so inspiring about this show is that you see an artist who kind of takes every ounce of their creativity and just gives it to the world with the time that he has. And I love being part of a story like that, where you are challenged to be the best version of yourself, as you go through life, and you definitely see it through Bobby Darin.
And then, of course, Bobby, played by Jonathan Groff, working with Jonathan, I'm sure is its own treat. But I wanna stick right now with something you just said was, the shows is making you focus on life, focusing on the being, the best version of yourself, or becoming a better version of yourself, right? And I feel like How to Dance in Ohio probably, you've got a big grin now going on. Yeah, probably like did this for you as well, because the level of inclusion and representation and just learning about the rehearsal process, not even the show itself, just how the whole cast was treated was so unique and different. Yeah.
From day one, it was one of the most, if not the most inclusive and open environments that I've ever worked for and been a part of. And for me, I take a look at our rehearsal process, where our first day of rehearsal, every single person was asked, what may be your needs during this process? And everybody got to answer it. Everybody got to answer that question honestly, and it was taken into account on a daily basis. And it makes me think, wow, all workplaces should be like this. They have to be like this, because our best work then shines through if we're not worried about hiding who we are or what we may need that day.
Well, if you identify as neurotypical, then for you, speaking for yourself, obviously, what did you, when that question came to you, what do you need? Did you have something that was you thought was different, or that like the experience itself was like, oh yeah, I want my M&Ms separated by color,
Well, for me, it actually opened my heart up to show up in a much more vulnerable way, in a much more authentic and vulnerable way. If I'm having a bad day, it's all right to tell people, if I'm struggling with a scene, if I'm struggling with something, so many of us, especially when we get to Broadway and when we get to these rehearsal rooms with, people that you've been dying to work for forever, you think you have to be perfect. And the most creative work will never come from perfection. And that rehearsal room allowed us to be authentic and true to ourselves, and to fail, to be totally honest. And that was incredible. And that's a lesson that I take with me. So yeah, for me, it taught me to be a truer, representation of myself in the room, and that it's all right to have a hard day, and it's all right to struggle while you're creating work.
It's all right to struggle while you're creating work. I mean, I think that's kind of the crux of making good art.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
art is an expression, and if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling sad, or even overjoyous, right, you just have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And true artists channel that into their medium, which is song, lyrics, painting, acting, whatever the case is.
I mean, it makes me think of, Broadway, when people come to see commercial theater, it's such a huge kind of highly polished product, right? And you forget, it's so easy to forget that amazing product came from thousands of failures, before.
Thousands of hours.
Yes, and thousands of hours where you were creating and exploring, and a lot of that was, yes, failing, and there's a freedom that you get when you understand that in order to be the best version of myself and in order to really create the kind of work that I want to create for, I need to fall on my face a little bit every once in a while.
But you've got so many Broadway credits, and it sounds like you just figured this out.
I mean, it always goes back to basics, doesn't it? Oh, it always goes back to basics. It goes back to basics when you're auditioning, when you're creating roles, when you're recording a podcast. You have to go back to who you truly are and stop trying to kind of cover it up with a more perfect version of yourself that may not be true.
Yeah, something that's still hard for me from the beginning 20 years ago, and it's still hard for me 20 minutes ago, is that you can't control auditions. They're completely out of your control.
Yeah.
And you may just walk in and be the most talented, best looking, or not best, perfect looking person for this role. And because you just don't fit a costume, or they already cast somebody that you'd be too tall or too short next to her. Like, it's all out of your control.
1,000%.
And that anxiety is still so hard for me to let go of.
Of course. And honestly, I could only speak for myself, but the moments before I walk into an audition room are some of the most nerve-wracking moments. And I think a lot of the times I think I have to be a certain way or portray a character a certain way, and it's just not true. It's you. They just need to see you in that kind of set of circumstances, and either you fit the role or you don't. There's nothing that you can do, especially when you get to auditions of this level for something like a Broadway show. You are there for a reason. You were not brought in because of luck.
Yeah.
But we all go through it.
Yeah. How familiar do you get with something like Just in Time, familiarizing yourself with who Bobby Darin was, his music, the story of Bobby Darin? Are you given the side, like for this audition specifically, were you given more of the script, or did you ask for more of the script to get more of an idea of what your characters or what your sides needed to relate to?
Yeah, well, for Just in Time, I was given the massive gift of having Alex just ask me to work on it and work on the
offer only now.
I wish it was offer only, but Alex and I have worked with each other our entire careers, so we know each other, how each other works, and all of that. But for my auditions, when I go in, I immerse myself in as much information as I can. I also really go out of my way to learn the material backwards and forwards, because it's the only way I feel like I'll have freedom in the room and really be able to own those couple of minutes that you have. And for me, it's about letting it go afterwards. So if I feel like I'm that prepared when I'm in the room, it allows me just to kind of like let it go the moment I walk out and see what happens.
That's a good way of looking at it. That's a healthy way of looking at it.
It took a long time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, so let's go back to the beginning then. When did you start performing? Where did you grow up?
Absolutely. I grew up in Emerson, New Jersey. My parents came here from Guatemala, and I'm a first-generation American here. And we didn't really know anything about the theater, to be totally honest.
Really?
Until a teacher introduced me and brought me to a show, and I never looked back since. I went to see Sandy Duncan in Peter Pan. And
no kidding.
Yeah, and when I saw Captain Hook go on stage, I was like, that's who I want to be. That's what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's going to be, that's going to be my life going
Specifically,
forward.
it was Hook?
It was Hook. It was that character. I mean, it was just, everything about him was so entrancing to me, And I felt like, how could I be a part of this? And then I started slowly through my teacher's help, being involved in the performing arts. And then I joined a performing arts group when I was in around junior high and high school called Act 2.
It was 12-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I never thought that it's something that I'd be able to do for a career. So I went to school for something completely different.
Astrophysics.
Astrophysics.
Astrophysics?
Astrophysics? No. I went for Japanese and international relations.
Japanese and international?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that. Keep going.
And then I realized that some of my friends were going to conservatory acting programs, and all I was immersing myself in college was acting and the performing arts. So I looked into transferring into a program, and I transferred into Ithaca College, into their conservative acting program, and then I never looked back.
So you were actively in college for not theater.
Yes. Yes.
And you're like, I don't want to go to Japan anymore.
No. Pretty much.
Have you been to Japan performing?
I've been to Japan performing, and I've been to Japan. I have Japanese family as well. So, but yes, I've been to Japan, and I'm absolutely in love with the culture.
Oh, I love Japan too.
Yeah.
I just went a couple weeks ago for the kids' spring break.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's great. Okay, so then what was it? Japanese culture and international policy? Is that what you said?
International relations.
International relations. What does that mean?
Well, for me, I wanted to go into some kind of international business, and that's where my mind was, so I tried to fill myself up with, as much knowledge towards that end as possible, until I realized I really wanted something different with my
That's
life.
really funny. Okay, so similarly but dissimilarly, I took 3 years of Japanese in high school.
Wow.
Don't ask me to speak it because I don't remember most of
Okay.
it anymore. And then, because originally I was like, I'm going to go to Japan and program AI. That's my career path. But I never stopped trying to do theater and trying to perform and sing and dance. And so I got a computer science degree, went to college, finished it, and then became a professional actor with that said computer science degree.
Oh my gosh.
And long story short, obviously, I did not make it to Broadway, but I still have merged now the tech with
You have
with the performing.
very much merged it all.
So I'm still coming back to that.
Yeah.
But I totally get that whole thing. It's just like once you have it in you that you have to be on stage. It's funny you say Hook too, because one of the most standout performances in my mind ever is Christian Borle in Peter and the Starcatcher. And I went back to see that multiple times.
Really?
And every single time he would, like, a particular scene when he slammed the chest. Did you see it? You remember seeing it? He slammed the chest down on his hand,
Of
which is how,
course.
like, he
Yes.
lost his hand. And
Yes.
he would just milk it longer and longer and longer. And the audience, it was like 2 and 3 waves of laughter. He knew how to work a crowd. And that was
no
it. I
one
was
like him.
God, that moment is like controlling emotion, controlling the crowd. That like put the pin in it for me. I was like, that's it.
But also, what a magical, not only performance but experience. I loved that show. I loved it. Everything, the theater magic part of it was really enthralling to me. And when you think of what that rehearsal room must have been like to
Right?
create all of that,
Right?
yeah.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. You said you've worked with Alex Timbers multiple times. I've interviewed him and many people from shows that he's been in, but I would love the shows that he's directed, but I would love your take on what it is about the environment he creates, because it really is the director at the helm of this metaphorical ship that is, I think, setting the tone, sometimes fighting with the producers who are just, business, where the director was like, we got to bring out our creativity. We got to create an environment that brings out the best in our actors so we can create the show. So like, what has he done for that? And how are you responding to this?
I mean, for me, Alex creates one of the most open environments in a rehearsal room. He fills it with people he has an amazing ability to cast his companies with people that will really get along with each other, and really trust each other, and everybody's voice counts, which really does something in a rehearsal room. Everybody's voice counts and is respected highly. So no one is trying to hide or bring anything false into the room. And it was really joyful. I mean, we've had a joyful time probably from the first day of rehearsal, even through now, which is one of the toughest times of creating a piece, that when you're rehearsing in the morning and performing at night. And yet all our time together has been wonderful. And I also just I think he's a genius when he's watching stagecraft, because he sees everything, So the moment he tells you why a moment is what it is and what's happening lighting-wise and sound-wise and scenically, on top of what you may be bringing to it, it's pretty magical.
And you're able to, I guess, speak up. Like, are you now just in time? Obviously, I think because of what you said you learned on How to Dance in Ohio, like you're okay speaking up for yourself or bringing a bad day and using that, right? Is that kind of encouraged? And you can come to the cast and be like, oh man, I had something happen to me today, and I feel bad, so it's going to be different tonight.
100%. And I think what's so unique about this cast is that it's a cast full of vets, actually, of Broadway vets. And we just really trust each other. Like, we really do. And everybody understands how to bring their best self into the room, what their lane in the show may be, and how, as a collective, what we can do to like really lift the show up. So there's a lot of trust going around in that room. That's really beautiful to be a part of. And to watch. I mean, watching some of these performers, someone like Michelle Pock or Jonathan Groff or Gracie Lawrence, Erica, like it's really enthralling on a nightly basis.
Oh yeah, I guess these are a lot of people who have originated so many roles.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a whole different experience from coming and filling in. And actually, okay, so let's go back to then Come From Away.
Yes.
Because that show that's again one of the staples, I think, of Broadway. And what did that show mean for you, being able to tell the story? When first I was like, oh, a musical about 9/11, the hell, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it turned out to be so well done and so close to perfection. We won't call it perfect because nothing's perfect,
right?
But then you got to do it for years, and like this show ran for years.
Yeah, and more importantly, you got to see the impact of the story, really, the impact of what the message, which was the whole reason of the kindness that happened after such a horrific event, and the domino effect that created throughout the world, and to still have people, no matter where I am in the world, stopping and saying, "Come From Away," and it's not about the performance. It's about the message.
People still stop you?
And they say, oh my gosh, that show, what that meant to me, what that opened up in my heart, what it made me do as a human being, and how I tried to help others. It's one of the honors of my life to be a part of something like that, and to see it still reverberate throughout the world. And now we're starting to see productions of it everywhere. So there's going to be a whole nother level of what that message is going to be doing.
That's crazy. And so the actual people that all of you in the cast portrayed, like they came and saw the show probably multiple times, and I feel like the real life Beulah came to the show a lot, and
actually they all came. Everybody that we portrayed has come to the show to see it.
What was it like to meet yourself?
Ooh, well, one of my characters, one of my Kevins, didn't really know that this was happening. And I, in the middle, like really late at night after rehearsal, we had just finished, I believe, our run in La Jolla, which was our first kind of out-of-town tryout. And I'm in my bedroom going, catching up on emails, and an email pops up and says, "My name is Kevin, and I think you play me in a musical."
Wow.
And it was this long email that kind of gave us his perspective, because we really didn't have his perspective in the show. And the show changed because of it.
Really?
Yeah, the show changed because of it. And as we got to meet more and more of the real characters, the show changed because of their actual true stories.
That's surprising. I thought that it was written based on interviews and firsthand accounts and stuff, but
it definitely was.
How much wasn't heard from the original people before the out of town tryout at La Jolla?
Well, let's say the two Kevins in the show. My Kevin was never heard from, and so they only had one perspective of the show. So all of a sudden, when you add the other voice in, it changes everything, right?
Sure.
Or the more you got to know somebody, because these happened from maybe one-time interviews, two-time interviews,
yeah,
and then you get to know the people, and you start hearing more stories, and they find that their stories into the show, or refining the characters a little bit more. And it was magical, honestly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, playing somebody who is impactful and still alive today is different from playing a real character that's not here anymore, which is different from playing a fictional character altogether that never has existed. So do you kind of approach the three different types of characters the same way, or do you, because you said you research a lot, are you researching someone who is alive with, like, trying to get hold of them, like obviously the Kevin, but like
Dr. Amigo in How to Dance in Ohio.
That's a real person too.
Yes, yeah. Thankfully, none of the directors that I've worked with had ever wanted us to do an impersonation or to mimic anybody, but I do think we were all cast in these roles, both in Ohio and in Come From Away, because the essence of who we are was very similar to some aspect of their personalities. And sometimes that's enough, because we would do the show, and then someone say Kevin's friend would come to the show, like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how he would say it, or that's exactly what he would do. And meanwhile, I had never met the man at that moment, So it's really wonderful. I feel a very deep, I feel a very deep respect for what I'm doing, because I'm portraying somebody's real life. But I also feel a freedom, because I don't feel like I have to impersonate anybody, and I can bring who I am into the role as well.
No, I'm letting that sit for a second, because playing someone, I guess there's going all in and being Cher, being Louis Armstrong, being someone like that is so iconic,
right,
that you have to be them,
right?
Otherwise, the audiences aren't going to like you,
right?
as an actor, right? They want to come and see the Dolly Parton or whoever it is. But then there's the people like Dr. Amigo from How to Dance in Ohio, but I'm just thinking, like, I saw Jasmine Amy Rogers in Boop the other night.
All right.
And that is, how would we classify that? A real fictional character that did exist but never did.
Right.
Because they're animated.
Right.
So then that's creating okay, hold on. Okay. How would you describe it? Because there are cartoons. There was a voice actor.
Right.
But now to put it on stage, like,
how would you do that?
How would you describe that? How would you do that?
Well, I have not seen the production yet, but I hear that Jasmine is otherworldly in this
Absolutely.
role. So there was something about her and her personality and who she was and her talent that just kind of exuded what they wanted for that character, So
how would you approach an animated character? If someone was like, "All right, you're Popeye, go out and be
right.
You're originating Popeye in Popeye the Musical."
I guess I would immerse myself in as much Popeye material as possible.
Eat a bunch of spinach.
Yes.
Get a tattoo on your forearm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd also have to trust that I was cast, because something about me reminded this team about that character. And then go for it, make really bold and strong choices. And this is another big lesson for me. Trust that the team will tell you when it's working and when it's not, and not take it personally if it may not be working. And understand that you're still there and you're still doing the role, and they still think you're right for it, and keep exploring that way. Like we were talking about before, just, the hundreds of failures that take place before before you really find what the actual, nugget, that gold nugget may be. And that's the beauty of a rehearsal room. I have to trust that Jasmine, went through that as well in trying to figure out how the hell am I going to play Betty Boop? Like, how do I do this in a truthful, human way and not just be a cartoon character on stage? And for me, and from what I hear about that performance, I'm sure she's taking some huge swings, and she trusts her team.
Trust the team. Well, you too. It keeps coming back to that. You said that working with Alex Timbers, he keeps coming back to you because he sees something in you. Like I was going to say that the through line of all the characters you've played, they have heart. They truly care. They truly care about everything around them, and they want to help. Like, this seems like every time I see you, you are in a role on stage that is just exuding support and empathy and love.
Thank you for
And so I feel like that's who you are.
I hope that's a bit of my personality. But I just absolutely love what we do, and I love my casts. I really hold on to the stories that we tell. And you mentioned how an audience is the other member of this company. And I take it very seriously. I very much want to care for our audiences and their experiences. So it's quite an honor for me to be doing something like this. Thank you for saying that.
Take care of the audiences and their experiences. Yeah, because no matter how bad you feel or how much of a slug, what do the kids say these days? How hard it is to do your 8th show or 9th show of the week, depending on if you're on the holidays. There's always a handful of people in that audience who have never seen a show before.
Yes.
Who you will probably inspire in one way or another.
Yes.
To, if not on stage, to become a director, to become a scenic designer, to become a projection designer, to figure out how to integrate tech. There are more and more shows now that are integrating so much cool tech.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Just in Time yet.
Oh, I can't wait.
But the immersive aspect of this. Oh, yeah. I want to dive into that.
Yes.
Because the immersive aspect, and maybe that's an Alex Timbers thing too, because...
But wait, can I just go back to one thing that you just said?
Yes.
About, you never know if it's somebody's first time seeing the show. Someone said this week that you never know. I'm doing this performance for somebody's first time, and also somebody in that theater, it's going to be their last time. And
yes,
it just absolutely kind of hit me to the core. And we happened to see this elderly gentleman who was watching the show. And at the end of the show, we have a production meeting, so the whole audience has to kind of leave pretty quickly. And it just took this gentleman a really long time to get up, out of the audience. And we heard him say before he turned, he's like, "I just want to look at this one last time," as he left the theater, and whoever was helping him helped him out the theater. And that kind of sentiment that you never know if it's going to be somebody's first time watching your work or somebody's last time.
That's touching.
And also what you have to give in situations like that. It really hit me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. You never know what people are coming to the show for. Okay, so on the flip side of the people who it might be their last time, might be their first time, there's your fans that are coming 2, 3, 4, 10 plus times
already. Yes.
And they've already been there before. And they're coming back because they either love you or they love the show or they love the song, whatever that is. Like, they're getting some sort of catharsis out of all of this.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think, like, don't get me started on the politics, like, art heals, theater heals. It teaches us how to be empathetic. It teaches us how to experience situations that we wouldn't normally experience.
100%.
And we get practice becoming better people.
Yep.
Exactly like what you were saying.
Yes. Yeah. These we were just mentioning the shows that I've been able to be a part of, Come From Away, How to Dance in Ohio. It really opened people's hearts, to the world and to possibilities and to human kindness, and how I essentially believe that we are all good at our core. And Just in Time, what that's doing for us right now, I mean, our audiences are leaving in such joy. It is really overwhelming to feel that kind of reaction. in a house, and to see people's faces just lighting up with smiles and laughter. There were these two young boys in our matinee this past week, and they could not believe what they were watching, and hearing and witnessing. And you see that across all the age groups at Just in Time. And I think it's something we desperately need right now. We need to understand that we can sit in a room as a community together and experience joy rather than divisiveness. Yeah. And I'm just proud to be a part of something that does that.
Yeah, no, I get that. What I was going to say earlier about Alex Timbers was everything that I've seen of him recently is so immersive.
Yes.
Like he loves to transform the whole theater.
Oh, yeah.
Like look at Moulin Rouge, and Here Lies Love was what I was thinking of originally.
Yes.
Literally rebuilding the whole stage. And then now it sounds like that same thing happened.
Just wait until you walk into Circle in the Square. I mean, it is transformed into the Copacabana nightclub of your dreams, basically. From the moment you walk in, everything happens completely around you and in between you in very surprising ways. We have a live band on stage the entire time.
A big band
on stage. And it's just beautiful moments of really live entertainment happening all around.
Is that different for you? Is that harder or easier for you
love it.
to be in the middle of the audience? Yeah,
I love
really?
it. I love it. I love feeling the audience around me. I love seeing people's reactions. I love, when the moment is appropriate to be able to play to people. Come From Away, for instance, we were told to directly look at people, for half the lines that we were saying in the show. Huh. And this is very similar. The audience is absolutely a part of our world. There's no fourth wall, really.
Have you had anyone where you look down to have a moment with an audience member and they're on their phone? And you're just like, you jerk.
I mean, it's definitely happened before, but I'm not sure if it's happened at Just in Time because it's just everything's so quick. Like if you look at your phone, you're just going to miss something pretty awesome happening. So we haven't had it yet. I mean, we have tables that are literally in the middle of the stage. These cocktail tables that people can sit in. And we're like, one day there's going to be somebody on their phone. It's just right in the middle of the show, and they are truly in the middle of the show. I'm excited to see how we all handle it, or how especially Jonathan may handle it.
I feel like it would be okay because it is a nightclub setting. I haven't seen the show, granted, but
right.
I would feel like it would be okay to, in character, call somebody out.
Oh, absolutely.
And be like, what is that fancy new little light-up device you got down there? I'm in 1930, 40. So, I've seen stuff like that happen. But people, don't use your cell phones. Just
please
put them away. Put them away. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. There's a trend, I feel, we talked about the tech a second ago, of like Sunset Boulevard uses tech like I've never seen. Mm-hmm. And I saw a Dorian Gray the other day, again, using tech, Sarah Snook.
I'm so excited to see that.
Using tech like I've never seen. So, and there's this trend, and I sort of feel like it I don't know, did I notice it with Beetlejuice? Speaking of Alex Timbers, I don't know, this lot more of the projection designs on top of sets that are stationary but can be transformed either via like flipping panels, hanging panels, projection design, whatever the case is. But then now we're adding in audio, video, or visuals, like these visuals, the electronic screens. Mm-hmm. And at first it was kind of like, oh, it's just, you've got a screen instead of a backdrop. Boo.
Right.
But now that it's being used in such creative ways, is that, I mean, do you like the direction you're seeing this heading into? Because it's not just stand at a proscenium and present anymore. Right. Like you said, you're in the middle of the audience.
Right. I mean, we don't use any projections in our show, but what we do use is probably the most state-of-the-art lighting and sound you could possibly imagine. I mean, if people understood what our lighting and sound design is for their show, and scenic design, their minds would be blown, because you don't see it, right? You don't understand just how technical it is. But in terms of the projections, I'm a firm believer that when you come to Broadway, it should show everything, right? It should show the most state-of-the-art versions of performance and probably the kind of most distilled versions of performances. So, if our technology is taking scenic design in new and exciting ways with projections, like, we should be exploring that in the biggest stages in the world, and we should be exploring it as the top, scenic artists and sound designers and lighting designers. So that I feel like we're really only seeing the first iterations of what that may actually be and how it could actually transform a space.
I'm thinking. This is my thinking face. Are you a Disney fan? Disney.
Yes,
like
a huge Disney fan,
right?
Yes.
So the Laugh Factory,
yes,
that experience, not a ride, that experience where, and I've seen this multiple times now in Disney, different Disney experiences where there's obviously a live person, interacting with the audience behind the scenes with cameras and such. That they can see the audience, but what we're seeing projected is a real-time rendering of an animation that is saying and moving how the actor is moving wherever they are backstage, right? Like, do you see a place for that in live theater?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one.
Right?
That's like kind of like right in between.
Because imagine just spit. I'm not saying. They'll come at me, listeners. I'm not saying this is how it needs to be, but imagine something like a Beauty and the Beast, right? Where the Beast is an animated hologram, that is all over the stage, interacting, but it's played by a real actor off stage. But because of the technical requirements, the magic, if you will, that can't be done practically.
Right.
Imagine if you're watching an animated movie or a Pixar movie live on stage in real time from real actors.
My head just kind of like exploded a little bit. I mean, I think we're just kind of just brushing the surface, right, on this type of technology, and like, where does that belong? And I certainly feel like there is a place for it. Is it Broadway? I don't know. Who am I to say if it is or it isn't? Is it a different? What we are experiencing in New York is that our huge entertainment experiences are going way beyond Broadway now, and they're going to be happening even more all around the city in venues built specifically for productions. And I think that's massively exciting.
It is.
And why shouldn't we be exploring every single way to tell a story, and find our way into that? Why shouldn't that be part of the equation? Like, will it work? Who's going to tell us? The audience and ticket buyers. That's exactly who's going to tell us.
The first version, I guess one of the primitive versions of this idea that we came up with it. We'll split the royalties. Is Jim Henson.
Oh, another icon.
Yeah, you've got real people acting against not real things,
100%.
but you forget that they're not real because of how they're portrayed, because of the expression you're able to put into a puppet and the movement, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like your brain all of a sudden just associates that with something real.
Exactly.
So imagine if we had holograms, and then like you're off to the side in a giant blue room or green room, right? Or a motion capture room. You're in a motion capture room, and just acting, and then there's somebody else controlling the movements and the body and the animation and the effects that go into all of this, and it's all projected in a 3-dimensional hologram that the physical people practically on stage can interact with, that is also technically timed with special effects, practical special effects.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
We just went down a rabbit hole right now.
I think we just invented the new Disney rides.
I love it. Now, look, I will always go right back to all you need is an actor in a chair, and my heart is full seeing something like that. But do I think there's a place for everything that we just talked about and all the worlds that something like that would take us to? 100%.
All the world's a stage.
I love it.
The big thing that made Avatar, I told you I'm a nerd. Part of the reason I think Avatar works so well is because James Cameron invented a technology, the face capture, the motion capture of the face that would animate the expression of the eyes.
Wow.
Because if you look back at old cartoons, animations, it's always the eyes or lack of movement thereof that make it look like it's not real.
Wow.
Because the eyes are the window to the soul. If you can't see the eyes, you don't know who somebody is on the inside. And by being able to animate the way that he did for Avatar, made these animated characters that much more real. Because the camera was, right here. And now it's used for so much more.
Of
like
course.
That tech has, of course, been built on. But being able to get something like that, again, onto the stage where it's just, imagine it like Jekyll and Hyde, right? Where you just literally turn from real person into a monster
Right.
on stage without a costume change. It's just an animation change.
Right.
I think we got something.
I mean, you said we're going to split royalties.
Yeah,
So everyone
yeah.
heard it.
Yeah. We'll call it the Caesar the Caesar Seals Summer. I don't know. We'll come up with the name of it. Just real quick then, before we start winding down, talk about your parents a little bit and how they, were they supportive of you coming into the arts, or were they like, you need to get a real job? That's what my parents told me.
My parents were so 1,000% supportive of me in my in anything that I was doing performance-wise, right? It was that moment that that I went to college and I was going to switch and go into acting. There was hesitation. I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
But then, they understood that this was my calling, and they let me go for it. And their support, has been unbelievable my entire life. Honestly, I've been so fortunate that they fully embraced, what, their son wanted to do with his life. And they've done that for all their children. So it was quite wonderful to do that. And even during my struggles, even trying to, figure out how to start, my way into this industry and doing all the things that we all do and, pounding the pavement and auditioning all the time. It was wonderful to always feel like I had support and I had a home and I had somebody to talk to.
Yeah, again, that's theater. Theater gives you a home, gives you chosen family, and to have your real family support that too.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's not as common as you'd think.
I realized that very much.
And so coming from Guatemala, how old were you were you born in the U.S.?
I was born in,
so you were born,
I was born in the U.S., but we went back and forth to Guatemala. And my younger sister was born in Guatemala. I'm one of 6 children. I'm 5th out of 6. And, my entire family is now there, including some of my siblings who've moved back. So it is a huge part of my life. And my mom is actually coming back from Guatemala to be here for opening on Tuesday. Yeah, on Wednesday, actually. I'm so excited for her to be here. She wouldn't miss it for the world.
Does she bring her friends? Bring friends up?
No, it's just mom coming up. And we're just going to have an incredible time. At this point, she knows she's the first invite for the openings.
Good.
But it's quite amazing having her by my side, during these huge moments of my life.
When did they realize that you had, we'll put in air quotes, made it?
When I was just relentless in pursuing this, and I think maybe as soon as I graduated college, I went into this production of R&J called Shakespeare's R&J. It was a 4-person production. We became the longest running Shakespeare in world history. And I think when I started actually just working as a professional actor, they were like, maybe there's something behind this and we're not going to have to worry too much.
We can get paid for this.
Exactly.
Look at that. That's funny. Well, good. Maybe one day my parents will catch up there too. All right. So now it's time for Plot in 60 Seconds.
What's this?
There's 60 seconds in front of you here.
Okay.
I have a list of 16 popular musicals.
Oh, gosh.
And you give me a list, you give me a number 1 through 16, and then I'll tell you the show that corresponds to, and you give me the plot in 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
No pressure.
That.
Just give me a number 1 through 16.
Uh-huh.
And then I tell you what show that is. And then you give me the plot to that show in 60 seconds.
Okay. Just to that one show?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, 1 through 16. Give me a number.
11.
11 is Wicked. Go.
60 seconds remaining.
Imagine a house falling on a green one, and the world changes when this happens. Not a green one. The green one pops up because the house fell on someone with red shoes. Then all of a sudden,
45 seconds remaining.
This is so nerve-wracking. All of a sudden, you understand that everything that you've been told was a lie because you start seeing what really happens in people's lives. There's someone who's green. There's someone who dresses in pink. They're best friends. You kind of see what their childhood is, and then you start seeing what the other person is saying about the other one, how the other one's portrayed with other. You see kind of like what the press does to somebody. You see what the news may do to somebody, what politics may actually do to somebody.
Remaining.
This is getting deep. Like now I feel like we're talking about what's happening right now.
That's why Wicked's still going.
Yes. And then you understand that, what you
5,
thought was
4,
bad may actually
3,
be something different
2,
and very good.
1.
All right. I'll take it.
I have no idea what I just said. I have no idea what I just said.
But it's still good. Take a sip. Take a sip. That's stressful. Someone made me play my own game once, and it was one of the hardest things I've done.
So what's the best answer you've had for that?
Oh, gosh. I think it was for Sound of Music, and it was like Julie Andrews defeats a bunch of Nazis.
Oh, my God.
It's like, yep, nailed it.
I love it.
Yep. All right. So the 3 standard closing questions. These are a lot easier. The first one simply is just what the first one simply is just what motivates you.
Ooh. I think finding ways to this is a good question. Finding new ways to express myself, to find different parts of how I may be able to use my life to tell a story and how that story may be able to impact people and people's lives going forward. And hopefully it's for better change,
I like it. All right. What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Oh, you are enough. You are so enough. Don't try to be something else. Don't try to figure out what others want. Stand in your own power 100%.
All right, last question. This is a little bit hard. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
Anna Devere Smith in Twilight Los Angeles.
You didn't even flinch.
No, that show is life-changing for me.
Tell me about it. I've never heard of it.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it dealt with the LA riots, and Anna Devere Smith played everybody in the show. It was a one-woman show. And it kind of... That's when I really made the decision to go into a conservatory acting program and pursue what I wanted to do. And it opened my eyes to multi-character acting, which has been a majority of my career, actually, including Just in Time. So I loved watching that. I thought it was life-changing, and I wish more people could see it.
Is there a recording somewhere, like some archive in a library?
Well, I'm sure there's a recording at Lincoln Center. But
sure, or a slime tutorial.
Or a slime tutorial.
Anyone has any slime tutorials? Hook me up.
But I just have that memory. When I saw it, I came back to see it about 6 more times.
Wow. All right. So where can we find you online on social media? Say hi. Connect.
Yeah, please. On Instagram, it's just at Cesar Samayoa and CesarSamayoa.com. And please say hi.
Please do. And say hi to me as well. I'm on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And leave a rating, review wherever you're listening. You can actually comment on Spotify now, where you can watch the video, but also on Patreon. So many things. Thanks again to the fine folks here at welcometotimesquare.com for providing the studio, and Jukebox the Ghost for the intro and outro music. And Cesar, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is amazing.
We've been crossing paths for so long. We finally made this happen.
I know. Thank you.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.